on our Facebook. We will do a roll call to make sure that we have a quorum. And so if the city clerk would call the roll, please. Alderman Carter.
Here.
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 Alderman Walker.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Here.
Alderman Vaughn.
Here.
All right, we have a full complement of our aldermen who are attending either telephonically or via the video or in person. So I will call the meeting to order. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll follow that with a invocation by Alderman Vaughn and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, thank you so much for being God and life. Thank you for being the one that rules the city, the one that made the heaven and earth before you stay out, the one that comes to stars and the one put us on the back and forth and place. Father God, thank you so much. Thank you for your darling son Jesus. Thank you for the Holy Spirit. Most of all, thank you for the angels that watched over all night last night and all day. And thank you for your Holy Spirit that directed us back to the place, a hell of a fast of the Spirit. Most of all, first of all, we thank you, Father God, for being elected by the people, and most of all, directed and guided by you. We thank you so much, Father. We just pray now, Father God, thank you for all you have allowed us to go through this pandemic, Father God. We know that you're the one that you're in control. We know that you're the one that moves the people. We're especially prayer for all your family that have all lives to be saved for that. We know that you still is the one that's still on the throne. I would ask you that you will be so kind and so good to us, Father. Bless us as we make these decisions of the Spirit, Father God, that we be wise, Father God, that we will come from our heart with our Spirit, that our decisions glorify you, God, and that we can. We hear all the gold and all the silver belong to you. All we have to do is ask to just believe it. Thank you again for being our God and being servant. Thank you for being our Father and your children. And most of all, thank you for controlling our destiny, not leaving us in the hand of no man. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you, everyone. And just as a point of note, because we do have attendance telephonically and via our cameras, our video system, we'll be doing a roll call on each vote. And I will make sure that I have asked each and every alderman as we go through if they have any comments they want to make. And if they don't, if you would just, each one of you be so kind as to say that you have nothing or whatever comments you'd like to make. That way we don't skip you in the process. So our first order of business will be to approve the official agenda with consented items. Are there any changes to the agenda or the consented items? Alderman Carter?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Sistrunk?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Vaughn?
No, ma'am.
All right, seeing no changes to the official agenda with the consented items, do I have a motion to approve? Yes, a motion to approve. Thank you.
I'll make this motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Beatty. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Vaughn. No further discussion. All those in favor, please signify as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carter.
Yay.
Alderman.
Yay.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman.
Yay.
Vice Mayor,
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. The official agenda with the consented items is approved, and I will now read the consented items. Consideration of the minutes of the April 3rd, 2020 work session of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Consideration of the minutes of the April 7th, 2020 regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Under Mayor's business, we have consideration of appointing Kristen Campanella as the Emergency Management Contact and Coordinator for the City of Starkville. We have consideration of a third resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the control of contagious and infectious diseases and for the protection of public health and welfare and for related purposes. Under Board business, we have consideration of calling for the first public hearing to amend Section 14.7.5 Sub A of the Unified Development Code to extend the grace period for non-conforming signs for 1 year until May the 5th of 2022. B is consideration of appointing Kelly Prather to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the term ending June 30th, 2025. Under engineering, we have request authorization for the mayor to execute the Highway 182 Martin Luther King Jr. Build Grant Preliminary Engineering Services Contract and any other required MDOT or FHWA contractual paperwork. Under Finance Administration, we have acceptance of the March financial statements, and that is the sum of the consent agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor.
My pleasure, thank you. Next we come to announcements and comments, and so I will take the first of those, and one of the things I wish to do is during this time of bad weather, which we've experienced the last weekend before last and then last weekend, it is incumbent on me to recognize that this week, Saturday in particular, was National Lineman Appreciation Day. And so in order to say that, let me give you a little feedback on that. Starkville Utilities linemen maintain approximately 5,000 poles, 190 miles of line, and 4 substations serving almost 14,000 electric customers. The linemen work to build, maintain, and operate the infrastructure that powers our homes, schools, hospitals, and other critical facilities. They are among the first responders in the wake of storms and other disasters. Their work helps make our energy grid stronger, more reliable, and more secure. And we are absolutely thankful for them, because I will tell you now that as I respond to social media and Twitter, one of the first things I get when something happens is when the lights go out, I get a tweet or a text or a Facebook post or a Nextdoor post that says this is what's happening and what's going on. And so our linemen are absolutely in the first responder category when they go out in the kind of weather that we've been dealing with and put our lights back on for us. And so it is with very great appreciation that I acknowledge that this is National Lineman Appreciation Week. So let's remember to say kind words about them this week in particular, but all the time, that they are taking good care of us, which they do. Also wanted to make the announcement that today's numbers as it relates to the pandemic were that Ottawa County has 44 cases now, and Mississippi has 4,716 cases. Ottawa County has 3 deaths reported, and Mississippi has a total of 183 deaths. So Governor Reeves has been having pretty regular press conferences around 2 o'clock or so in the afternoon, and his executive order expires on the 27th. I have no inclination of exactly what he's going to do, although Alderman Sistrunk said that she watched it today and that he seems to be having a phased rollout. So it may very well be for us that we'll be looking at another special call meeting in response to whatever Governor Reeves does as it relates to his executive order, so that we can extend what we've got or else alter what we're doing, because right now we're tracking with what he does. So we may want to have a revisit of that, but I'm not saying we will, but that's a possibility. So just FYI. And beyond that, I don't have any comments. Do we have any board comments? Alderman Carver.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Alderman Sistrunk?
No, thank you.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Vaughn?
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We have no public appearances, citizens' comments. And we do have a couple of citizens in the room, and I believe they're wishing to speak. So now would be the time. And this is the time when the citizen may come forward and has 3 minutes to give us the thoughts of the community or concerns that they have. And we are looking forward to hearing from Mr. Turner, as we usually do.
Good evening, Mayor Board. I want to recognize the mayor, police, chief, and the fire chief. We want to thank y'all for what y'all have done in these past days to try to hold us together. I want to thank the mayor and myself to try to keep the people from panicking. When we hear the right understanding of something, we try to get it out to the people so that they will understand whether it be garbage pickup or whatever. And we appreciate that. We still gonna try to hold one another together and try to keep people from panicking. A couple of things that we would like to get all pastors to send up a prayer that we get through these days that we live. Also, our homeless people. The homeless people that they cannot do what we do because they're homeless, they here and there. Also, we have a church that is on the old highway. The old 25. The former name is Zion Cycle, but the name now is New Bell Zion. And they have had, they've been targeted twice. Someone either let someone in or either breaking in the church. The address is 3747 Highway 25 South. It was a small membership, but I would just bring that to your attention. Also, the beauty shops and barber shops, and we'll be glad because my head hollering for help. That means that you need a haircut, and that's just some concern about people.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Mr. Taylor.
Board members. My name is Chris Taylor, Ward 7. Let me tell you, it has to be something important for me to get out. I'm over 65, I'm black, and I got health problems. But I want you to understand, prior to y'all making a vote, that department heads, you talking about cutting 20%. Department heads have never received a 20% raise. You're talking about cutting departments. Well, think about it. When you cut the department, now the department head got to do more work. Now, get to that. The two key things that we need to understand is the garbage, the sanitation. Those people, as you notice, they got to work more than just one day a week to pick up trash in different areas. They need to go back to their regular schedule. You got everyone staying in. So now you got double, triple, maybe 4 times the garbage on the street. People filling up other folks' dumpsters. That's what I'm getting tired of. The water treatment plant. Don't cut those people because look at it. Everybody's drinking more water, so people can't be buying all this water. So just think about it, try to you cutting people's salary. If you only gave them 2, 3, 4, 5% pay raise, well, cut that. Not no 20% across the board. Whatever the percentage you gave them or yourself. I don't know what you gave yourself. I think it's 5, 10, 15, or 20%. Cut that. But don't cut the department heads like that. And don't lay off as many people at those key departments. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Be safe.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anyone else for citizens' comments? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we have no public appearances, we have no public hearings. The first item that is up for discussion and consideration is the consideration of adopting an infectious disease internal department policy manual. And this is under mayor's business, so let me say that one of the things that we have never encountered before is having to respond to a pandemic. And I'm very glad of that, but at the same time, I wanted us not to be in a position where we don't have a path forward. And so I asked department heads if they would take a look at their departments and see how they believe that we should respond given 3 levels of concern. And so that was the reason that this is before you. I felt like it would give us an opportunity to have a way to address this if it, for example, might come again. If hopefully it won't, but if there were to be a spike, which everyone seems to be having conversations about later on in the year, or if, to heaven forbid, some other pandemic or virus or something that we needed to respond to would come forward. I sent it to Mr. Latimer, and he didn't seem to have any issues with what was there. Each department head pretty much scoped out their own way of responding to this, and so that's what this is about. And so if anyone has any questions of me, certainly I am happy to ask them or answer them, and happy to go into any further explanation that might be desired. So I'll start at the other end of the table. Alderman Vaughn, any questions? Okay. Vice Mayor Perkins?
No ma'am, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Beatty? All right. Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
All right. Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Sistrum?
No, ma'am.
And Alderman Carver?
No ma'am.
Okay, hearing no questions or necessarily any discussion, okay, I had a motion for approval, I believe, from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Beatty. Any further discussion? All right, having no idea or having no inclination of further discussion, if you would answer the roll as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
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 Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is discussion and consideration of the city's response to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic. This is what we took up in the work session, and I had provided the board with some numbers that appeared to me to be somewhat conservative, but not as conservative as we could have been, and that is in projecting the revenue loss of 1.3 million, which is in effect 35% of our sales tax that we normally get. And as a part of that, it came from the Mississippi Department of Revenue projection that we would lose anywhere between 25 and 40% of our sales tax revenue. And so, not wanting to take the 40% because I'm slightly optimistic, I went with 35%, which gave us a $1.3 million loss. And we have, at this point in time, let me be really clear, we really don't know because we haven't received any sales tax numbers that say what we're losing. But having had a couple of conversations with different businesses in town, I know one business is saying they're at about 70% loss. Another business was at about 30% loss. So again, it may be deeper than 35%. It may be more, but we're just not going to know. So this is a preliminary estimate of $1,300,000 we'll be losing this year that we have to make up. So in an effort to make it up, the budget chair and I and Ms. Harden met with all of our department heads and asked them where they could make cuts. And many of those cuts should be in your packet in an individualized or in an itemized format. And each one of them made selections that they felt they could still run their department, not as wonderfully as we have grown to expect, but that they could run their department and meet the needs of the city and of our residents. So that came to a $737,500 cost reduction. And then on Friday, I had added a reduction of our ending fund balance by $450,000, and then department furloughs for 2 pay periods, and department head, mayor, and board of aldermen also reductions, 20% reductions. But after the work session, I got from that work session that the board did not want to put a time limit on those furloughs, and so to that end, I went back and changed some of those numbers to reflect no end to the furlough, although I did, for purposes of calculations, take it till the end of the CARES Act, which is at July the 31st. And what makes that important is that the CARES Act provides an additional $600 a week per person to make up for that loss due to this COVID pandemic and any layoffs that come from that, or furloughs that come from that. So in essence, our employees who are furloughed would get $835 per week. And in some cases, that's more than they would get if they were actually working. And because we're furloughing, that allows them to keep their health care, which I think is incredibly important, particularly when this is a healthcare crisis that we're in. So in going back and looking at those additional numbers, what I asked about further was taking some other monies from places. So in sum, I took another $15,000 from sidewalks, another $15,000 from streets and drainage, removed all board travel, which was $9,000, removed police training unless it's reimbursable of $10,000, with the expectation that nobody's going to training anyway because trainings have been canceled thus far. And then an extension of that pay raise freeze to the end of the fiscal year, which including the longevity raises, which is $121,000. So having done that, and then taking our furloughs, or not our furloughs, but the pay cuts of 20% for the mayor, the board of aldermen, and the department heads, and the extension of those furloughs to the employees to, again, July the 31st, just for calculation purposes, that put us to the good, to the point that we do not have to dip into our ending fund balance. And that, to me, while it's intended for exactly the kind of thing that we're dealing with, it is also, with us being unable to project accurately exactly how much we're going to lose, it is a much greater comfort to have that in place for the remaining potentially year or so before we get back to what we are used to as a normal. So, and that also gives us some buffer as we head into our next fiscal year. So those are the things that I'm modified based on what we discussed in the work session on Friday. And with that, I'll quit talking and open it up to discussion. So, Alderman Carver, would you like to discuss and add anything?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I'm going to say I will vote against this tonight, and it's just because of the department furloughs for 2 pay periods, the $100,000 item. And I'll backtrack and say I want to commend you and Alderman Sistrunk and whomever else worked on this, because it is proactive to go in and do this. And I know there's a number of cities in the state that are looking and projecting. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be a 35% sales tax loss. I think it's going to be higher than that. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm thinking 40 to 60%, and that's just looking at other states and other nations that are a little bit ahead of us in the pandemic curve. If the furloughs were removed since Friday's meeting, I've had personal conversations with many of the employees that would be furloughed, and some of them are 20 to 30 year employees, and some are. We've got a couple that have called me that have been 70 plus. Furlough versus a layoff is by far their best option, but my personal opinion is about a month ahead on that. I think we're out of, from the case count, I think we're over the curve. I think the curve's been flattened. I suspect May 1st, everything will be opened again, but it's going to be a trickle effect. Remember, as a college town, that it's not going to be back to normal May 1st. I don't think it's going to be back to normal, my personal opinion, until the fall semester comes back. So we're looking at August to September. But I would only vote against this because of the furlough. I have an issue with that. Everything else, the $15,000 for the department head, mayor, and the board of aldermen is insignificant as a fund, as a major ticket item, but it does show that we're willing to jump on board and take a pay cut ourselves. And so again, I'll just say that's going to be my vote tonight and the basis for my vote. But I don't know who all worked on this, but I'm sure the mayor and Alderman Sistrunk and maybe a couple other aldermen. But I want to thank you all for the work, because this is a very proactive approach that you took. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Carver. Well, let me respond to one thing about it that I think, since we don't know, and if your projection is correct and we have a deeper cut than we think we're going to have, then the reason that the timing on this for furlough purposes is that if we do it now, then that CARES Act allows it to kick in and offers that additional $600 to employees who would be furloughed who would not have that option. They would only be getting $235 if we find ourselves in need of furloughing at some later date. So let me share that piece with you just as a point of information, because that's the reason for the timing.
Let me ask you then, because I may be misunderstood on that. I understand that the federal government added between the $235 a week unemployment, and added another additional maybe $600 a week for up to 39 weeks. So you're saying this furlough and that allows our employees to make sure that they grasp that $600 add-on?
Yes, that $600 is part of the CARES Act. Normally, our employees, if they were furloughed, would only get $235 a week. And with the CARES Act, they'll get an additional $600. So they'll have $835 a week between now or the 24th, which is the pay period for this to start, until the end of July. July the 31st is when that currently is scheduled to cease.
If we were to make this decision in 4 weeks from now for the not these two pay periods, just for the furlough alone, but 2 pay periods from now, will they still be able to take advantage of that $600 add-on to the pay period?
Only until July the 31st.
31st. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. All right. Alderman Sistrunk.
I don't disagree with much of what Alderman Carver said. These are very difficult decisions. It's easy to say we won't buy any new equipment or we won't travel, but when we start talking about furloughing people, that's a hard thing to do. That's a very hard thing to do, and it's not something I think any of us would do lightly. We have tried to be sure that we've structured this in a way that our employees have as soft a landing, our employees who end up being furloughed have as soft a landing as possible with the additional unemployment. They also should be receiving their recovery checks right about now. We wanted to be sure that they continued to get their health insurance coverage, and the cuts have been as low in terms of numbers of people as we could go and still feel like we were doing something that was financially responsible. It hurts my heart. It does to do this, but I don't have any other solution. And I'm grateful that there were other aldermen who want to hold on to our ending fund balance as long as possible, because I do very much suspect we're going to dip into it with the beginning of next fiscal year. Because while Alderman Carver is expecting a deep drop in sales tax revenues, I'm expecting a long drop in sales tax revenues. And I think that it will very much follow us into the next fiscal year, and having that ending fund balance available in next year becomes even more important than usual.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Little.
I agree with what's been said already. I haven't taken it lightly. Anytime you're impacting someone's salary and way of life, it's a huge impact on those employees. And I've talked with the budget chair about that a couple of times, and I've had reservations. But looking at it in detail, and I don't see any other way around it. You know, we're anticipating significant shortages come June when we see the March. The April numbers come in, and I think it's the prudent thing to do is to get ahead of it. We know the students won't be here this summer. We know they're going to be doing virtual orientation, so they're not going to be here with their parents spending money in town. It's going to be a big hit, and it's probably going to be the fall. Hopefully we'll have football come September, Labor Day weekend. If not, it's going to follow us well into the next fiscal year. I think this is the right thing to do, and I'm going to be supportive of it tonight, Mayor. And I am excited, too, that we did not dip into the ending year fund. We've been challenged every year to try to add to that, and we've been fortunate in our ability to do that a little bit each year. And I'm proud that it's gotten to the point it has, but it may get to that point come the fall that we have to dip into it, and it'll be nice that we haven't touched it so far.
Thank you, Alderman Little. Alderman Walker.
I agree with what's been said. I think this is an extremely difficult, but we're in an unprecedented time right now of having to make some very difficult choices in how we move forward. One of the questions that I do have as a point of clarification will be, if this were to pass tonight, looking at either the 2 pay period or the extension through July, once we get numbers back, say April's numbers, and we get those back in June, if the board has at its discretion the opportunity any of these furloughed workers back at any point in time. Is that?
You cut out a little bit, Alderman Walker. I'm assuming you're asking if we get good results back that we can rescind this or we can modify it, and the answer is most assuredly yes. And if we get bad numbers back, we may find ourselves having to do something else. So again, I'm presuming based on what I think you were leading up to, but let's see if the connection is right. Did that talk about what you were asking?
Yes, absolutely. I think the question really is, at any point in time while we're planning for, well, we may be planning for this to be able to rescind at the end of at July, we would have the opportunity to restore some or a partial or all of the furloughed workers at any time at the board's discretion once we have more data to be able to make an informed decision. The board does have that discretion, I believe, and once we have more numbers, I think we'll be able to make a more informed decision. But I do think that not acting in the city's best interest at this point is, and taking all the cuts that we're talking about, and obviously furloughing is the next to last step that I would be willing to make, and with obviously the last step being letting people go with no longer needing their services. So I think we're potentially at that point. I do have another question, and it begins to maybe address a little bit of what Mr. Taylor asked during citizens' comments. I believe that he is 100% correct in that there is absolutely more rubbish and garbage being placed out at the streets. And I would be reliant completely on Mr. Ware's recommendation at this point of, do we have the sufficient numbers to make sure that even though I'm perfectly at peace going with the one day a week pickup, do we have the still rotation of enough of those people to be able to handle that increasing load? And if the answer to that is yes, then I'm willing to move forward, but I will certainly be relying on the advice of Mr. Ware and you, the mayor, to be able to make those determinations. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman Walker. And yes, I will certainly keep with Mr. Ware. This is, the question from me to him in determining what to do with each department, for each department head, was what services can you maintain for us and still do what we need to do and what our citizens expect, with the caveat that we obviously went to 1 day a week, and some of the reason for 1 day a week was in order to protect some of our workers so that they weren't out there in the public handling trash and being exposed to the virus on a more frequent basis. But in terms of getting the trash up, I think he is comfortable. But if he is not, I certainly will visit that with him, and we can come back and reconsider. But as it stands right now, he said that this is what he can work with. Alderman Beatty.
Yes. Mayor, look, last Friday to the amended recommendation on cut. Sanitation Department's an enterprise fund, correct?
It is.
So with these updated figures, have you taken the numbers out of the Sanitation Department?
The numbers, these numbers were all general fund numbers. The numbers that are impacted, we have 35 general fund employees and 12 enterprise fund employees that were being considered for furlough. So,
were the enterprise fund employees all out of sanitation? Or were they?
No. They're utilities, water, and sanitation.
But as we save money, are we saving money out of other enterprise funds like water and sewer, but we can't take that money and commingle it back into the general fund, so we can't offset or save money and lower the cost of our general operating budget from money saved out of water, sewer, and sanitation, and things like electric, things like that. Correct. Correct. Okay. How many employees are probably going to be impacted?
47 total. 35 out of the general fund and 12 from enterprise funds. Now, by making these additional cuts, we've eliminated the $450,000 that we were going to have to take out of the fund balance. So we will end the year with our full $1.3 million fund balance. If things go according to plan. Yes. if the 1.3 is accurate, that'll be the case. If it's more or less, then we'll be better or we'll be worse, and we'll have to come back and deal with it.
And one thing that I think needs to be mentioned, I think, maybe Carl, somebody alluded to this, about getting back, we will get back to normal, I think, gradually, but I don't know what the new normal is going to be, and I don't think that we're going to be back to normal until there's a vaccine that we can readily available for our population, so that we all feel like getting out and congregating in large numbers close to each other, like the football games and things like that. So I think that, essence, I've heard on that anywhere from 12 to 18 months out from getting vaccines. So we're kind of in this thing for the long haul. That being said, what we're doing today, and I guess no point in talking too much about it, is firming up and balancing our budget from now to September 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year. On October 1, we're going to face the same thing. We're going to the problem with sales tax, revenue, and all the things that we're facing right now is going to roll right on into that new fiscal year. So it's going to be something we're going to be looking at. And I did talk on the system today, we take our fund balance and use that to pay bills the first 3-4 months of our new fiscal year. So the ad valorem tax starts rolling in January and February. So it's absolutely essential to have that fund balance to be able to operate your city. It was hard. It's something you need the first 3-4 months to pay bills right. Okay.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor Perkins?
Thank you, Mayor, and to the board. Mayor, with regard to the preliminary estimate of a $1.3 million shortfall, it is very apparent to me that cuts are necessary. It is also apparent to me that cuts are mandated. It is also apparent to me that there's no way around it. So, having served on the budget committee various years and terms throughout my time on the board, the question becomes, where do we get the money from? The sales tax is a very integral part of our revenue stream. And with the students gone, the economy shut down, businesses closed, where are we going to get the money from? Now, this $737,500, in my opinion, is justified. It'd be good if we can even find more money to streamline the cost of our municipal government, if we could. But I want to commend that reduction of $737,500. And as has been stated earlier, the revenue shortfall may be deeper. We may have to have a second and a third round. Okay, so we got to make these decisions. Also, Mayor, I am also glad to know that the recommendation does not include diving into the ending fund balance. There have always been numerous and multiple attempts over the many years of my time on the board, but the efforts against any withdrawals have been very successful, because you start withdrawing that in a very substantive way anyway. That puts us in great danger and jeopardy, and also put us in a position where we are acting contrary to the advice of our financial experts. As to the reduction in pay of the mayor, the board of aldermen, and department heads, that is purely and clearly and absolutely justified. The mayor is taking a 20%, justified. Each alderman, 20%, justified. Each department head of the city of Starkville, justified. Be thankful you have a job. The department heads do not need to be exempt from this reduction in pay plan, because they have to show leadership to their workers that they are going to be furloughed. So that is a proper recommendation. And let me pause here a minute, Mayor, before I get, and this is going to cover another matter, so I had to get recognition again tonight after these come and be very brief. And at the last meeting, I'm going to put this into my discussion here. I voted not to delay the the salary increases for the employees that were being recommended for the increases. And tonight, and I'm incorporating this into my discussion here, and I'm going to go ahead and cover this one. I have to get back on more discussion. And I'm going to vote for that tonight. Let me tell the mayor and the board and all of the public and those who are tuned in, the employees, I'm not against employee pay raises. I'm for employee pay raises. I'm going to fight that fight. I'm going to be with you. But the thing that is different about tonight versus the last meeting is that I did not have this projection of a $1.3 million shortfall. So if I'm going to make the argument tonight that, yes, I don't want to delay it, then where am I going to get the money from? So, but I'm going to vote for that motion later. I want to incorporate that in to say the furloughs are necessary. And I hate that for the employees. I have been a pro-employee pay raise alderman here, among others. And the thing about it is that, as the mayor and others have said, if you furlough, you still get the health benefits and you are eligible to receive up to $835 a week. Be thankful you have a job. So we got to make these decisions. So everything that I've heard have been justified. And those employees, Mayor, who are left here, they're not going to be furloughed. Hopefully they won't be telling no department head that it's not in my job description. They're going to have to multitask because they may be recommended for a second round or a third round if we have to get there. So with all that being said, these are tough decisions, but, I'm used to making them, and I'm in support of this. And in conclusion, Mayor, I know we all are very cognizant of a lack of money, and we're going to be very even more conservative as we move forward, and even include our Mississippi Municipal League. When that comes up, if anybody wants to go, just pay your way. We don't have the money. We are without the funds. And again, I am in support of this, and I'm going to vote for it. And Mayor, I yield the floor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Alderman Vaughn.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, thank you, and let's just be strong on the part of you. Cut this down. My concern is further. I think that you put this task on the department head to determine who will be identified for short. And I think that was my world I've looked in all my life. You look at the last high. The last one was high and work your way up. Because you easily can misinterpret someone. Take someone that have a good job performance and everything, and it can be something that the department just don't like that. I don't have a good job performance. Just don't like it. And I think this is not going to be done right. I think we're going to end up blackberry people, cherry people, plum people. We're going to pick who we don't like. And I think it was a bad idea. Instead of just starting with the least one that was high, we went our way up to the 42nd. For the cut, I'm not against the cuts at all. I'm just against the way we did it further. Because I don't think we did it right, and I don't think anybody will be treated fair. I don't think anybody will be treated justly. They're going to be injustice done. They're going to be some unfairness done by we allowing the department head and Mr. Asher to pick these people who will be furloughed. I think we did that wrong. And for me, I support everything. Someone or another, I just don't like the way he did it. Because I'm not worried about the pay cut. That don't bother me at all. Or my father on the California style here and always going to Philly. I don't worry about it. But I just want everybody to treat it fair. Everybody treat it just. And we call this a pandemic. I don't call it a pandemic. I call it a plague. Because there's so much unfairness and injustice that goes on in this board and around this world. That's what I call it. I don't call it. Now, because if it was that, God, I want somebody to stop this. Man can't stop it. It's just running wild. I want somebody to stop it. It's a plague. We don't have no control. If we haven't seen the worst of it. But the line of the department head and our human resource organization do this, I I think we did wrong. I think we should have come from the bottom all the way up till you got your 47 people. I know that these employees that they're working in the wheel of the boat, I know that. But the city attorney.
Yes, sir.
I want to two questions. Is this fair the way you doing it by line of department heads to select the people to be?
To classify it as fair or unfair is tough to do legally. I take your point that going with first hires, that's an objective measurement because, you know, the people who are hired last would get cut first in that way. I don't know what went into the department head determinations of who goes and who stays. So I don't know if their case by case, person by person determination was fair, but I see what you're saying. You just want an objective mathematical metric to go by. So I understand that.
One more. Is it legal?
Yes, doing it this way is legal.
Yeah, there are other municipalities doing it the way that we are doing it. Furlough, line of the department heads pick who to be furloughed.
My personal knowledge is that I know other cities are furloughing. I don't know the inner workings of how they're furloughing. I just don't know that. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And I had gotten a quick text from Alderman Little saying that he was unable to hear. So I think you can hear me. And let me see if I can. I don't want to sum you up incorrectly or poorly, but just for purposes of recap, Alderman Vaughn is concerned that the methodology of the cuts was not a last in, first out type of methodology. Is that fair, Alderman?
Yeah.
And that it would be more subjective than an objective, and he is concerned that people might not have been treated well and might have been selected for reasons other than their ability to do whatever job it was deemed as not something that was needed for the time. So it was more of a fairness issue. It was not a furlough issue. It was a fairness of who was selected. So hopefully that clears up that concern, and I have adequately said what you were concerned about. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So any further discussion from anyone? Because at this point it has been just a discussion without a motion of any kind. And if we're going to make some motions in support of this, we're going to need to understand that the way these were calculated were as of the next pay period, which is April the 24th, to go until basically further notice. And that would be the employees as identified by the department head, total of 47, and then the 20% pay cut for the mayor and board and department heads again until further notice. So those would be the motions, and also wrapped into whatever motion we get from this would be that the time period, our original pay, administrative pay with leave went until today. So with the furlough starting on the 24th, you have the 22nd and the 23rd, which we can do administrative leave without pay, and people can go ahead and take their leave to cover those 2 days. So those are the options for anyone who wishes to make a motion of some kind. And now would be a time to entertain a motion.
Mayor?
Alderman Little, is that you?
Yes, I move approval.
Yes. All right, I have a motion for approval, and Alderman Little, let me see if I can state that in such a way so that you can indicate to me that that's what you want to do, is to move approval to the furlough of the identified employees from the general fund and from utilities and sanitation until further notice, effective the 24th of April pay period.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then you want to do the two of them together, the 20% pay cut to the mayor, the board of aldermen, and the department heads, again,
Yes,
effective the 24th until further notice. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a motion to that effect. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Alderman Bailey. Any further discussion? Okay. Attorney Latimer. Attorney Latimer has something he wishes to say.
I appreciate that, Mayor. Alderman Vaughn, I wanted to tag one thing I told you. You asked me if this process is legal, and again, I think it is, but it's up to the department heads to establish a rational basis for who they selected to stay and who they selected to furlough. In other words, it can't be a racial reason or a gender reason or an age-based reason. But if it's a rational basis reason and they can provide that, then yes, it will stand up under the law. Just wanted to tag that out.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion?
Mayor,
Roland Bailey, I'm sorry.
just wanted to get clarification. I was looking through the line item of the the cuts that we proposed that we have, that's right. Well, these are all general fund cuts right here. And so 737,500 is all cuts out from departments that are operating within the general fund. Correct?
Yes, and let me say that the newest figures that I put together is now 786,500 because that includes the things I've called out, the training, the 15,000 from drainage, the 15,000 from sidewalks and that. So it's now at 786,500.
But what's happening over in water, sewer, and electric, and sanitation is each one of those departments are dealing with their employees and their cuts to offset their budgets based on the anticipated reduction in their revenues. None of that's being brought back. But all of this, what we're looking at right now, is general fund reductions, correct?
It's what we know is being impacted by our office sales tax. Correct. All right. Any other discussion? I'm going to give it one more round to the board for any further discussion. Alderman Vaughn?
It's a possibility that plan that we could come up with $100,000 so we all these people to stay and work. And I'm hoping to come and it will be earmarked for at least for these people on furlough for their job.
Okay. So we're give me just a second. I was just going to say we're at a point now where if we are doing this until further notice, we're saving somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000. All right, I'm going to go ward by ward so I don't miss anyone. I think Alderman Little, I heard you.
That wasn't me.
Okay. Alderman Carver, was that you?
No, ma'am.
That's the Vice Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor. Go ahead.
Mayor, I just want to say, Mayor, I am respectfully requesting for the city attorney to ensure he draft this motion out for the record. And Alderman Little did a good job, but want to make sure it includes all of the particulars that you stated. No, nothing to be withdrawn from the general fund, but the furloughs, the operational, all those specifics, so that it'll be really clear. So when we look back on it, we'll have everything. If you would I'm just saying that respectfully, you get the city attorney to draft that out and make sure it does everything that we talked about, what Alderman Little has said, so it'll be accurately on the minutes.
Okay, we will definitely get that scribed out appropriately, Vice Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alderman Carver, did you have anything last thing that you wish to discuss about this motion?
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Sistrom?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
All right, I believe we've hit everybody then in that case. So, Mr. Latimer, you're scribing?
I can scribe. Can we take a couple minutes break to scribe?
Okay, we'll take just a couple of minutes and let Attorney Latimer do that. We have a motion and a second pending, and we'll get the motion so that it is in a form that Ms. Harton can read it, and then we'll take a vote. So, 2 minutes. All right, we are back, and Mr. Latimer has drafted in his best scrivener's mode the motion. So if you want to read that, then we'll make sure that it matches up with what Alderman Little had as his motion, and then the second that we had from Alderman Beatty.
Move approval of the city's proposed cost-saving measures related to the coronavirus to include the following. Number one, furloughing of 47 city employees at the recommendation of the department heads until further notice, effective April 24th, 2020. Number two, a 20% reduction in the salary of the mayor, members of the Board of Aldermen, and the department heads of the city. Number three, an extension of pay raise freezes through the end of the fiscal year, including longevity raises. And number four, transitioning to administrative leave without pay on April 22nd and 23rd for employees already on leave.
Alderman Little, does that comport with your motion?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you,
All right,
Chris.
and Alderman Beatty, so we will now move to a vote. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Nay.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Barr.
Nay.
All right, and by a vote of 5-2, the motion carries. And with that, our next item on the agenda, and let me say, before we close out, and we've all said it, but it certainly bears saying again that none of this is something that any of us wanted to do. We are at a critical point, and our employees are our greatest asset. And for us to have to furlough them is the saddest day that I can think of that we have encountered, certainly since I've been involved in city government in any kind of way. So we will make this as quick as we can. So hopefully everything will rebound. But anyway, and I know the rest of the board feels exactly the same way. All right, the second item, or the next item, was consideration of extending the hiring freeze, suspension of travel, and new equipment purchases through the end of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget year. This was something that we took up and approved, and this is now we had originally done it for 60 days. This is to take it through the end of the existing budget year of 2019-2020.
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Vaughn. Discussion. Alderman Carver.
Mayor?
No, ma'am.
Yes, no, I was just asking.
Mayor,
I'm
this
sorry,
is
did I
Alderman Little. For clarity, that was a vice mayor, I believe.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
it was not me.
I'm not sure.
When did
who
you start sounding like Alderman Little? I apologize.
No, it was not me,
All right.
Mayor. It was not me.
Okay,
It was
well, I need to find out.
Alderman Carver.
Alderman Carver, all right, I'm so sorry. Well, in that case, Alderman Carver, I apologize. Any discussion associated with your motion?
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Sistrunk.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker.
No, Mayor.
Alderman Beatty.
What the suspension of purchases would not include those that we were under contract purchase.
Correct.
Contract agreement purchase. Right?
Correct. This is a continuation of our previous action, which would be anything that is part of a purchase of a bond that's already in effect, or any of those kinds of projects. So no.
Or any equipment where we've got contract agreement.
Yes, that's correct. All right. Vice Mayor Perkins.
No, ma'am.
And Alderman Vaughn. All right. Hearing no further discussion, if you would answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
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 Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Barr.
All right, it is unanimous. Motion carries. And actually, coming to the next one, that was consideration of freezing all pay increases, and we actually did that with our first action under item D. So I think we can eliminate that one from further discussion or consideration. Having said that, we move to the next item, which is a planning item. It's a preliminary plat request for Jack's Corner subdivision.
Mayor, I move approval.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Sistrunk. All right, we have an applicant here. I'm going to give him a chance to come forward very quickly. Mr. Pepper, you want to keep a good social distance from us and come see if there's anything in particular you'd like to talk about this project?
If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, any discussion from the members of the board? I will go one by one. Alderman Carver?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Sistrunk?
No.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am, other than to say, to clarify that the motion would include the conditions as written in the packet.
All right, with the conditions. Okay, and Alderman Sistrunk, I assume that your second is acceptable for that?
Yes.
All right, Alderman Spady.
Mayor, I would want, on the recommended conditions of the Planning and Zoning Commission, in the first one where it says all development and redevelopment on any lot will be required to comply with access management requirements, stormwater management, that would get new stormwater requirements under. I would also say architectural review of new structures. That would be the first one, with the motion. The motion be potentially amended for that.
Okay, Alderman Walker, would you like to add that to your motion as a friendly addition?
Well, I wasn't clear on what Alderman Beatty said.
Adding architectural review to the
Isn't
structure?
that already part of that should be part of the code already, correct?
It is.
It is, but I think it would be good if it stated like stormwater or new stormwater requirements are stated in this recommendation by the board.
The one thing you could do, Alderman Beatty, is just put a comma after UDC and say including architectural review.
Okay.
Is that acceptable to you, Alderman Walker?
Sure. I think we just need to be careful of adding things that are already built into the code into the motion, but I'm okay with that. If that is in fact part of the motion, that's fine.
Okay, all right, thank you. Alderman Sistrunk, you're okay with that as your second?
I am. I think all that it is doing is calling that out as something that's new and different from previous codes. So, yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anything further, Alderman Beatty? All right, Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Vaughn? All right, if there's nothing further, then if you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carter?
Yay.
Alderman Fisher?
Yay.
Alderman Little?
Yay.
Alderman Walker?
Yay.
Alderman Beatty?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn?
Yeah.
All right, that is unanimous. The motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item, actually next and last item, I believe, is, no, it's not. The claims docket. Do I have a motion to approve the claims docket?
Move approval, Alderman Carver.
All right, thank you, Alderman Carver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Beatty. Further discussion? All right, if you would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carver?
Yay.
Yay.
Alderman Little?
Yay.
Alderman Walker?
Yay.
Alderman Beatty?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
Nay.
Alderman Vaughn?
Yeah.
All right, and by a vote of 5-2, motion carries. Thank you. All right, and last but not least, we have consideration of budget amendments to the fiscal year 20 budget.
Move approval.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Sistrunk. Those were in your packet. Do I have a second?
Second, Alderman Little.
I have a second from Alderman Little. Further discussion? Any, ward by ward, Alderman Carver, any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Sistrunk?
No.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No.
Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
No, ma'am.
And Alderman Vaughn. All right, hearing none, if you would answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
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 Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Clifton.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn. All right, it is unanimous. And that concludes all of our items in open session. I need a vote to go, or a motion to go into closed. All right, I have a motion from Alderman Vaughn to go into a closed determination session. Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
I have a second from Alderman Beatty. If there's no further discussion, if you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrunk.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Clifton.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn. All right, it is unanimous. We'll be going into a closed determination session to determine the need to go into executive session. If you would, please clear the room, and thank you all for being with us and exercising social distance. motion? Oh, okay.
The board moved that pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 25-147-2, the City of Starkville is authorized to offer Farmer Morgan LLC $31,731.25 for its work, participation, and/or selection in applying for the 2019 U.S. Department of Transportation Build Discretionary Grant for the Mississippi 182 MLK Corridor Revitalization Project and the City of Starkville 2019 U.S. DOT Build Discretionary Grant Program Grant Application Resolution, Mississippi 182 MLK Corridor Revitalization Project, or all claims made and or which could have been made related in any way to the City of Starkville Build Grant Project.
All right, thank you. And I will read my notice for a work session, and then we will entertain a motion to adjourn. There will be a work session of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen on Friday, May the 1st, 2020 at 10 a.m. in Starkville City Hall, located at 110 West Main Street on the second floor conference room. The public and media are invited to attend. With that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Beatty. If you would please answer yea or nay if the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman Little. Alderman Little.
Uh-oh, we may have lost him. Let's try for Alderman Walker.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Bates.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Moss.
All right, by a motion of 5-0 with all members in attendance voting, the motion carries. It's unanimous. We are in adjournment. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate